This audio guide explains how to build presentation materials using the approved OMG presentation workflow. Before starting an actual presentation, watch the overall process video and review the overall process infographic. These materials will help you understand the complete workflow before you begin working on a presentation. Next, open the appropriate tracker using the tracker link provided in the written process. Go to the first applicable row in column F and change the drop-down selection to Not Started. This establishes the correct starting status before you begin the work. The first major step is to define the presentation. Analyze the purpose of the presentation and determine exactly what it is intended for. For example, the presentation may be for a corporate renewal, SME proposal, individual proposal, update briefing, internal training, or another approved purpose. Understanding the purpose is important because it determines what information, blueprint, and supporting materials you will need. Once the purpose is clear, gather all available source materials. These may include proposals, reports, client information, utilization reports, meeting notes, updates, and other supporting documents relevant to the presentation. The presentation should always be based on the actual source materials for that specific case. Next, check whether there are past presentation materials that can be reused or adapted. Go to the OMG folder. Open OMG Shared. Then open Presentation Library. Open the Library folder. Then open the PPT Presentations folder. Review the available presentation materials and check whether anything relevant to the current presentation can be reused or adapted. The purpose of this step is to avoid rebuilding presentation material that already exists and can still be used. You may also need existing presentation assets. If needed, download the OMG Slides master template using the link provided in the written process. If needed, download the OMG logo using the link provided in the written process. If the presentation requires an HMO logo, download the appropriate HMO logo using the link provided in the written process. Only use assets that are actually needed for the specific presentation. For example, an HMO logo may be required for an HMO-related presentation, but it would not automatically be needed for a presentation about recruitment. The next step is to identify the correct master blueprint. Go to OMG Shared. Open Presentation Library. Then open the Library folder. Open the Blueprints folder. A master blueprint provides the structure and content direction for the presentation. If you are preparing a presentation for a particular purpose for the first time, identify the master blueprint that matches that purpose. However, if a blueprint already exists for the same purpose, and you only need to make changes to it, use that existing blueprint as your starting point instead of starting again from the master blueprint. For example, inside the Blueprints folder, open Renewal Corporate Face-to-Face. Then open the Renewal folder. The Renewal Corporate Account with Utilization Master Blueprint is used when preparing a presentation for an existing corporate account, and the presentation needs to cover the existing HMO, utilization, current benefits, and the renewal offer. The Renewal Corporate Account Utilization Only Master Blueprint is used when the presentation only needs to cover the utilization report. Additional master blueprints may be added in the future. GM will place approved blueprints in the Blueprints section when applicable. If you cannot find an appropriate blueprint for the presentation you need to create, inform GM. Do not choose an unrelated blueprint simply because it is available. The blueprint should match the actual purpose of the presentation. Once you have identified the appropriate blueprint and have it available, proceed to the Presentation Builder. Log into the info@omg.ph account using a separate Chrome profile. On the Bookmarks bar, look for Presentation Builder and open it. Upload the selected master blueprint to the Presentation Builder AI. Select the appropriate menu. Then collaborate with the AI and clearly explain what you want to achieve for the specific presentation. Provide the relevant source materials and information required for the presentation. You should also tell the AI which presentation assets you already have and want incorporated into the blueprint. For example, these may include the slide's master template, OMG logo, HMO logo, or other required materials. Make sure you also provide the actual assets that you tell the AI to use. Do not automatically provide every available asset. Only mention and provide assets that are appropriate for the specific presentation. Continue collaborating with the presentation builder until the blueprint is complete and approved. Once the blueprint has been approved, save the approved blueprint as a Microsoft Word document. Open a blank Microsoft Word document and paste the approved blueprint into it. If the presentation builder provided the blueprint in several parts, combine all of the parts into one complete document. Next, request the presenter guide. Tell the presentation builder AI that you need the presenter guide and ask it to paste the guide directly into the chat. The AI will already understand what is meant by the presenter guide. Copy the complete presenter guide into a blank Microsoft Word document and save it. After that, ask the AI for the presentation prompts. The AI may provide the prompts as a downloadable Microsoft Word document. If it does not, copy the prompts from the chat, paste them into a blank Microsoft Word document, and save the document. These prompts will be used to generate the presentation images. Once the prompts are ready, proceed to image generation. Log into the info@omg.ph account using a separate Chrome profile. On the bookmarks bar, look for Image Generator and open it. For each slide prompt, start a new chat with the image generator. Provide the prompt together with all assets required for that particular slide. These may include the slide blueprint, logos, and any other necessary supporting materials. Review every generated image carefully before accepting it. Do not assume an image is correct simply because the design looks professional. Check the actual content against the approved blueprint and the source materials. Pay particular attention to important operational information, names, figures, benefits, rates, logos, labels, and other details that must remain accurate. If you are satisfied with the generated image, save it in the appropriate folder. If you are not satisfied with the image, do not continue asking the image generator to revise the same image. Instead, open a new chat window and generate the slide again. Revising an image repeatedly in the same conversation can sometimes make the result worse or introduce additional errors. Before proceeding to the next prompt, open another new chat window. Provide all required assets again, including the blueprint, logos, and any other materials required for the next slide. Repeat this process until all required presentation images have been generated and checked. Once the images are complete, proceed to PowerPoint slide integration. Open Microsoft PowerPoint and create a blank presentation. Right-click the first slide. Select Layout. Then choose Blank. Place each approved image on its corresponding PowerPoint slide. Set the image as the slide background and lock it in place so that it cannot be moved accidentally. Repeat this until all approved presentation images have been placed in the correct slide order. Save the PowerPoint file. After saving it, either send the file path to GM for approval or send the PowerPoint file directly to the intended employee who will be using it, depending on the instruction for that presentation. Next, determine whether an audio guide is required. Ask GM whether an audio guide is needed. If GM says yes, request the audio guide from the AI. The AI will already understand what is meant by the audio guide. Save the completed audio guide as a Microsoft Word document. If GM says that an audio guide is not required, the task is complete and the succeeding optional steps no longer apply. If the workflow continues, ask GM whether a slide-mapped voiceover guide is required. If GM says yes, request the slide-mapped voiceover guide from the AI. the AI will already understand what is meant by the slide-mapped voiceover guide. Save the completed slide-mapped voiceover guide as a Microsoft Word document. If GM says it is not required, the task is complete. Before considering the presentation work fully complete, review all deliverables that were created. Review the approved blueprint, PowerPoint deck, presenter guide, prompts, audio guide when applicable, and any other optional deliverables that were requested. Make sure the materials correspond with each other and with the approved source information. If the source information changes after the presentation materials have already been created, such as a change in the conform, rates, benefits, or other source data, update the blueprint that was created specifically for that presentation session. Do not automatically rebuild the entire presentation when only one part has changed. Identify which slide is affected by the revised information. Ask the AI to revise the affected slide and clearly specify which slide needs to be updated. Only the affected slide, its corresponding prompt, and the corresponding section of the presenter guide should be revised. After receiving the revised presenter guide section and revised prompt, manually replace the affected section in your existing presenter guide and prompts document. If the revision produces a new image slide, generate the updated image using the approved image generation procedure. Then add the updated image back into the PowerPoint presentation in the correct location. The objective of this workflow is to create presentation materials that are based on approved source information, use the correct blueprint and OMG assets, and remain consistent across the blueprint, images, PowerPoint deck, presenter guide, prompts, and any optional training or voiceover materials.